All right, we're live. It is NBA Draft Lottery Day, the day where all of the tanking teams, all hopes and dreams come down to ping pong balls here tonight. And you could have had the worst season, you could have had the 14th worst season, and it doesn't matter unless luck, goes your way. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun. There's a lot of news, surrounding Giannis tonight as well. And there's going to be one big winner, who wins the lottery, gets the Cooper Flag, wins the Cooper Flag sweepstakes here. And there potentially could be another winner in a team who maybe the Rockets is a team that I'm eyeballing here tonight, who maybe they get a little bit of lottery luck, move into the top three, and between that and some of the other assets they have, maybe they look to go get Giannis Antetokounmpo. Because I do think they're going to be in the market for a star this summer. So lots to talk about here tonight, JD.
I I love tonight. I think it's great. I think it's ridiculous that this is how we come to decide which team's gonna get the best player is based on ping pong balls. I've always said that all these teams should play in a tournament and end the tanking, and at the same time that the NBA playoffs are going in, all the teams that are eligible should be able to have to play for the right for the first choice. And that would end all the tanking. The ping pong ball thing is just, crazy to me, but that's the way it is. So I got my peanuts all set, for our watch party live. This is very cool.
Yeah, we're doing our first of hopefully many watch-alongs here on the channel. And before the lottery takes place, I do have a graphic I want to show everybody, which is what's the likelihood of your team getting each pick. And the NBA communications department put this out on their Twitter. It's an awesome graphic. It's really concise here. I know you can't see this, JD, but maybe they'll put it on ESPN. Probably not, but it would be nice if they did. So the Utah Jazz, they finished with the worst record. The worst they will pick tonight is pick 5. They basically have a between a 12 and 14% chance of picking at 1, 2, 3, or 4. And if they don't, they'll be 5th. So if you see Utah at pick number 5, a couple of teams have jumped up there.
Okay.
Washington, worst case scenario, pick 6. Charlotte, worst case scenario, pick number 7. New Orleans, worst case scenario, although only a 2% likelihood, pick number 8. And now here's one of the teams where it gets very interesting. So, Philadelphia. Let me check my notes here. Philadelphia has a 64% chance of having a top 6 pick. So they have a 36% chance of it being at 7, 8, or a small possibility of it being at 9. Now, why does that matter? Because this pick is top 6 protected. If it is 7, 8, or 9, it will go to the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Oh yeah, they need another big.
The youngest team in basketball, by the way. I still I know that's the case, but it's still hard to I don't know fathom because they are the best team, at least the best regular season team in basketball, and they're also the youngest team. When those two things shouldn't be able to say both those things about an NBA team, and they may add a lottery pick here tonight if they got a 36% chance. After all the losing for the Sixers, they only have a 64% chance to maintain their pick. So a lot on the line for Philadelphia tonight.
The team that I'm the most excited about, Jack, before you get into the percentage for each team, and is is the Brooklyn Nets.
Well, they're
So
next.
they have, sorry?
They're next.
Yep, they get a 6% chance for the pick. But what makes them so exciting tonight, or really it'll be draft night, is they have the number 19, the
Yep.
number 26, the number 27, and the number 36. They have an opportunity um, to almost remake their entire roster through the draft. And it'll be very interesting to see if they, um, you know, maybe their management knew exactly what they wanted to do when they traded Mikal for a lot of draft picks. Some of them are contained here, some are not. They're future draft picks. So the Nets are actually looking at a very bright future.
They have a ton of picks, as you said, 4 first rounders this year. Uh,
Incredible.
yes. And it's funny because Sean Marks, he's still their GM. He was responsible for their first rebuild that led to the Kyrie, Katie, Harden team, and he took over after the debacle of the Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce trade, where they gave out all their picks, which is still hurting Brooklyn because two of those picks turned into, I don't know, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. And this is the first year that the Brooklyn Nets will have a lottery pick since they moved to Brooklyn. And it's not like they've had a lot of winning seasons since then. So this is a big, as you said, this is the start of a big night for the Nets. And they're a team with the most cap space by far in the NBA this summer. They're also a team, though, at the same time, who I look at and I say, who are the players on this team that I think are going to be still there in, let's say, 4 years? And it's very hard to feel confident about anybody on that team still being
Anybody.
around. And that's not the case with even teams like the Wizards or the Hornets, even the Jazz to a lesser extent. They have some young nucleus. The Nets have decent NBA players. They have a good coach in Jordy Fernandez. If you were to ask me anybody, it would be the coach who I think is going to stick around. I think he did an excellent job with them this year. But they need to start getting some guys that they can build around, and this is going to be the start of that. Toronto is next. They've got a 7.5% chance at the number one pick. San Antonio, they've got 2 lottery picks this year, and they've got the last 2 Rookie of the Year winners. So they're certainly ahead of Brooklyn, but another team which has a solid much more than a solid foundation. If Wembanyama comes back and he's healthy, this is a playoff team next year. They've got to add shooting. They've got to get a backup center, I think, for Wembanyama. Houston, I talked about them earlier. They have a chance to get up there for the number one pick, about 4% chance. Portland, similar odds, and then Dallas, a little less than 2%. Chicago, a little less than 2%. And then Sacramento, which would be less than 1% chance that they could get up here. If they were to win it, they would keep their pick. Otherwise, this is going to Atlanta. And then San Antonio gets Atlanta's pick, which is the last pick of the lottery.
So, Jack, how far can the number one pick fall? It can't. Are you saying that like Utah has to get one of the top 5 picks, and therefore that's as far as it can go? So Cooper Flagg is looking at, his for me, his nightmare scenario could be Utah.
Yeah, it's not my favorite. I don't think it's the nightmare. For me, the nightmare, there's 3 teams for different reasons. The Hornets, who I just don't think have been, although they do have a new coach. They've had a new GM, I believe, the past couple years, so maybe things are changing there. They've got a new owner of the team past year or so. Maybe things are changing. The Pelicans, I think, is the worst. I just it's just a mess. It just seems like a mess over there.
Although Joey Dumars has been brought in now as the new head of the team, and I think that's a positive.
I would be more inclined to agree with you, except I don't think he's run a team in 10 years, and that's never a good sign to me. It kind of is reminiscent of well, they brought in Stan Van Gundy a couple years ago, who hadn't coached in a number of years. That didn't go well. As a Knicks fan, I think of bringing in Phil Jackson to run the Knicks after all those years where he hadn't coached. That didn't work out well. I just think sometimes when someone's been out of the game, it's hard to bring them back in. And then lastly, as I just alluded to, as a Knicks fan, the third horrible destination for me, and this is just a personal thing more than anything, would be the Sixers. I don't
Yeah.
want to see that happen. But I do think it's very much on the table. It could happen tonight. So it's gonna be exciting. They're putting up right now a 10.5% chance at winning it. So
And we've got 14 minutes and 15 seconds to go to, the first ping pong ball. But, you know, the 76ers for Coop, at least he lands with a team that has some assets and the ability to trade some players to see if they can bring in a younger nucleus. We'll see.
I just don't. I don't think so. Actually, they're because Embiid and Paul George, you can't trade those guys. Who's good? I mean, I was gonna say who's gonna want them, but we just saw this past season somebody traded Luka Doncic. So I guess everything's on the table. We can't say this will never happen anymore because anything could happen. But it's hard for me to imagine who would be interested in those two guys who are older on really expensive contracts and are injury prone. It's not a good recipe.
And I do not see the mix of Cooper Flagg and Joel Embiid. I just
I
don't.
I agree. Now, to flip it into a positive for Sixers fans, if you put those two guys to the side and you said we're building, for the future, we've got Tyrese Maxey. We like what we saw from Jared McCain. Maybe we can keep Quentin Grimes. I'm not sure that I got to look into how that's going to work salary cap wise. He's a restricted free agent. The Nets, I think, are a potential landing spot for Quentin Grimes. But maybe they keep him. You add Cooper Flagg. All of a sudden, you're building a young nucleus. But that is not what you wanted to hear as a Sixers fan. I don't know, 8 months ago, you thought this was going to be a title contending team. Now you're looking at a rebuild. So not exactly where they I think depending on where they shake out, that could be a pick that's traded. They could be part of a package.
Right. And none of that, you'll correct me, none of that can happen tonight. Tonight is just the order of the picks because obviously um, the Nets, you and I laughed. OKC still has so many draft picks. Could they put a package together for Cooper Flagg? Could the Nets combine everything for Cooper Flagg? There's going to be a lot of jockeying just because and for all the comments I made throughout our broadcast about I feel sorry for Cooper Flagg, I suspect the story isn't over tonight. Whoever picks him is going to do everything they can, but it's possible that someone could put a package in front of that team and they say, I don't think that's a smart move, but they may say, okay.
It is possible. And by the way, so the combine measurements came out today. I didn't get the full list, but I've seen some of the measurements come out like piecemeal. And Cooper measured in barefoot at 6'7" and 3/4. So with shoes, he's 6'9". He had over a 7 foot wingspan, and most importantly, and probably this is a good thing for Cooper, he weighed in at 220 pounds.
Wow.
So he put on,
Wow.
they listed him at Duke at 205. So he put on somewhere around 15 pounds this year. And that was the thing. We watched every Duke game. We covered Duke here on a game to game basis. And the thing with Cooper that we both said for his future was when this guy gets his NBA body, it's good. He's a problem right now, but when that happens, he's going to be even more of an issue in a just a difficult assignment. And apparently, that's already started to happen. Um, and he's still 18. Last year I spent like the first, what was it, 3 months of the year. He's still 17. He's still 18. He's still got. He's the. Not only is he the best player in this draft, he's the youngest player in this draft. This is. I don't know. It's easy to There's no draft analyst saying Cooper Flagg's gonna be great that you go, oh, this guy is so smart. This is you could get anyone to draft Cooper and look like a genius.
I know that we don't want to let this go because we're going to get excited with the ping pong balls, but that if you like the content of what Jack and I are doing, please like us. Please subscribe to the channel, share it with a friend. We're always looking to grow. And sometimes when Jack and I get so excited about the Duke game, we go, "Oh my goodness, we're 45 minutes in. There's probably no one listening," and we announce this. So at least we got this on now, and we're 8 minutes and 30 seconds away from that first ping pong ball.
Yes, great shout out, JD. And I guess this is a good transition. So I want to talk about the Raptors for a couple minutes here. They've got two Duke guys now on the team in RJ Barrett and Brandon Ingram. They they had a really tough, brutal start to the season last year. They were bad. They also had a really tough schedule. In basically the last half of the season, last 43 games, the Raptors went 22-21. And going into next year, their projected starting lineup is Emmanuel Quickley, RJ Barrett, Brandon Ingram, Scotty Barnes, and Jakob Poeltl, with Grady Dick, Ochai Agbaji, Jamal Shed, and Jonathan Mogbo coming off the bench. They've got a young nucleus to build around. And I think in this draft, if they can get a center to back up Pearl and or another shooter, I think this team could be, I think certainly a play-in team, but maybe even fight for that sixth spot in the playoffs if things break the right way.
It probably will be pretty good for Graham if Toronto wound up with the ping pong ball. Maine to Toronto. Actually, it's kind of further east than certainly Boston's closer.
Well, they're out of the running here.
Yeah. But they don't need the Celtics for a variety of reasons. The salary cap, the current set of personnel. I mean, even though as Knick fans, we've thoroughly enjoyed being up 2-1, but we have to admit that in all three games, we were, it was like we're down 20. And, it was just a question of when the Celtics were going to hit for a better percentage from three. But, if it was a pure landing spot and we weren't picking ping pong balls, where would you want Cooper Flagg?
Just from the lottery teams?
No, we got time anywhere. Where would he fit today?
All right. Well, you're opening up a can of worms here. I gotta look at all the teams in terms of lottery teams. I mean, I think there's a few intriguing options that he could build with. Um, Houston would be very interesting. They are a really good defensive young team that is, in a lot of ways, ahead of where they should be.
Right?
I think that would be intriguing. I think Portland, in some ways, could be intriguing. They've got some good young talent there. San Antonio, the fit with Wembanyama, for obvious reasons, would be fun.
I
And
think I'm going to go with stay with the lottery teams first. I'm going to say, and you pointed this out to me when the Knicks made the trade for Mikal Bridges, and you said to me, you know what? Cooper Flagg could wind up playing for the Nets,
could
and I great market um, opportunity with a lot of young draft picks. Um, the Nets could be an interesting. I like you. I do like your Houston more than anything at this point. I just hope it's not Utah, uh, Washington, or Charlotte. But you've tried to make me a believer in Washington. I'm still not there yet.
yeah, I I guess I'll explain why I think that's a decent fit for him. They just don't have they don't have a number one guy, but they have other guys who defend. And I think it'd be a good landing spot for Coop. He could be the number one guy. He's got other guys around him who will play hard, play defense, etc. So I think it's a good fit. Lastly, in terms of out of the lottery picks, I mean, I don't think this needs to be said, but the Thunder would be an awesome landing spot for Cooper Flagg. It just is what it is. And lastly, as we're getting the rollout here, we're getting very close. One team I want to mention is the Dallas Mavericks, who have gone from losing in the finals to losing in the play-in. That is that's a tough fall. It just is. Now,
Wait, let me jump in for a second. If ever there was a team like the movie Draft Day, when they were screaming for the head of the team, Dallas Maverick fans are just hate the decision that traded Luca. So something like that could clearly go, well, wait a minute. Cooper Flagg?
if they were to win the lottery, I think that no one would be happier than their GM, Nico Harrison. Nobody. Oh, they've got Zion up there as their representative. It's interesting to see some of the reps. You've got Hakeem, Masai
Yeah.
Ujiri, Mitch
And by,
Johnson.
by the way, Zion looking pretty good.
He's looked thinner this past year or so, I will say. Now, as a Duke fan, I would love the Zion Cooper pairing, but also as a Duke fan, I would want Cooper to be in his own situation. But here we're getting there. We are getting there. So, all right, all right. We're gonna be any moment now.
Assuming everything is cool with, the auditing procedures and everything else. All right. Who's it? Mark Tatum.
That's right. Our favorite deputy commissioner.
Absolutely. All right.
All right. 14, we've got
Now, what does that mean?
the
So there
Spurs.
show.
So nothing's changed of the order. They were supposed to be 14, they are 14. Now if this is yep, the Hawks, okay. So no one's jumped up. So the Kings don't have their pick. They didn't get lucky here. The Bulls, okay. No one's jumped. What we expected, what is to be expected so far. Whoa! The Mavs did jump. Wow. Wow.
Houston
The
gets.
Mavs jumped. They're in the top. Holy smokes, they're in the top 3. Wow. Oh, and San Antonio.
Uh, Tough break for Brooklyn.
Brooklyn. Ooh, Brooklyn fell. And Philadelphia. So Philadelphia, the Spurs, and the Mavs have all jumped into the top 4. Wow. No, wait. No. Not yet. Sorry. Philadelphia kept their pick. Ooh, tough break for the Wizards. Really tough. That's the worst outcome that they could have had. Jared McCain's very happy.
He's happy.
Oh, man. Utah fell to 5th. Oh, what a disaster. Oh, man. So the worst 2 teams in the league are 5th and 6th. Wow.
So the Sixers, the Spurs.
Sixers, Spurs, Hornets, and Mavs. The Mavs could do it. If the Mavs trade Luka Doncic and then win the lottery and get Cooper Flagg, I don't know. Nico Harrison is the luckiest person in the world if this is what is about to happen. What is going on right now? I mean, okay, all right. What?
So Jack, why don't you explain how we got there to those 4?
So Charlotte could theoretically still be at pick 3, but the Mavs, the Spurs, and the Sixers have all jumped into the top 4, with the Pelicans and the Nets. Or sorry, the Pelicans, the Jazz, and the Wizards all sliding out.
And but none of those were about protected picks or other things about the picks. It was just the ping pong balls.
Correct. The Sixers needed the to get a little bit lucky tonight, and they did to keep their pick. And yes, everyone else, it's pretty wild. But the Spurs now, the Spurs are going to have another top 4 pick. They could get Cooper Flagg. So
Popovich comes out of retirement.
I think he's just fine up in the front office role. But, you asked, I said, there's 3 spots I don't want him to end up in. 2 of those spots are still alive right now. Charlotte and Philadelphia for different reasons.
Right.
Dallas, I can't believe they could, wow.
So
wow.
now the way this is done, those 4 teams at this point each have a 25% chance.
Yeah, well, I guess technically, I'm not sure if that's how that works, but for right now, yeah, I guess you would say that.
Yes, I mean it occurred due to the number of ping pong balls and the selection of everything. But at the very moment where we're sitting here, because your job is to work on the business side of this, and I'm just a fan. And as a fan, I'm sitting here and I'm going, there are four teams here. They got to tell us the order, but without knowing anything else, one of four will have.
I just keep going back to the Mavs. Like the Mavs could get Cooper Flagg. This is crazy. Or the Spurs, for that matter. But something tells me it's the Hornets. That's my. We've got a
It,
few
it,
moments before it's revealed. That's my gut
I
prediction.
know. It's sort of like the Knicks getting Patrick Ewing. It's sort of like sometimes you feel like, wait a minute, we weren't there when the ping pong balls, they just came out and they showed everything. And all of a sudden, the franchise that needs Cooper Flagg the most, probably at this moment, due to his marquee value.
That
Uh,
arguably was probably Utah, in fairness.
well, no, but at this moment of the
Okay,
four
okay.
teams.
Yes, yes. Okay, man. Any moment now, they're dragging this. They're dragging this on a little bit. You
All
know,
right.
I know they got to get their TV, their ads in and stuff, but come on, this is crazy. There's Khan. The Sixers are nervous. Nick Nurse is his foot is bouncing up and down. Elton Brand, he's trying to keep it together. Yeah, Jared McCain actually looks like he's enjoying himself.
Jared McCain enjoys himself all the time.
Well, I agree. I think it was a good choice of them to put him up there. This is a good spot for him. All right, here we go. Pick number
There we
4.
go. Unbelievable.
So it's gonna be the Sixers, the Mavs, or the Spurs.
Oh, it's now down to one out of two. It could be the Mavs. Unbelievable, Jack. Unbelievable.
No way! No way!
Unbelievable. They
They
wanted to
just
run it.
That's the luckiest man on this planet. Nobody luckier than Nico Harrison.
They wanted to
Cooper.
run him out of town. And now my brother gets to go watch Dallas Mavericks games.
All right, if there's any ever a time for a conspiracy, I would understand it right about now. Holy shit. What just happened? What's going on in the NBA? I don't know. This has been the wildest past 3-4 months I can ever think of. Cooper Flagg is a Dallas Maverick of all the possible teams.
Unless
Oh yeah,
Nico
good point.
Harrison,
No, you're right.
given
You're right.
given his track record,
You're right.
sits there and goes, wait a minute, there's a better deal to be made here, and trades Cooper Flagg.
Ready for this one? Cooper Flagg and Anthony Davis for Giannis.
Be honest.
Who says no? If I'm the Bucks, I mean, I would say no if I'm the Mavs, personally. Just take Cooper Flagg. But to your point, we can't assume that Nico Harrison is going to do the right basketball move here. So the statement should be Cooper Flagg should be a Dallas Maverick come June 26th, I believe, is the day of the draft. But nothing is certain.
And and for the Spurs, it's not
Another,
Cooper Flagg, but they get the number 2 pick.
which I think should be Dylan Harper. And I don't love the fit with De'Aaron Fox there, but he's the clear number 2 best player in this draft. So that's who I think they'll pick. But the one thing about the Spurs, it would not shock me if they trade down. If somebody else wants Dylan Harper and they say we can pick up 2 or 3 future firsts, they'll do it. So, man, tough night for the Utah Jazz, tough night for the Washington Wizards and the Brooklyn Nets. But nobody happier, luckier than the Dallas Mavericks and Nico Harrison. Just insane.
And my brother and my godson, who all live in Dallas.
You went from Dirk for 20 years to thinking you're going to have Luka for 20 years. You trade Luka, and 4 months later, you have the opportunity to draft another generational player in Cooper Flagg.
So right now, what is the physical condition of Anthony Davis and Kyrie Irving?
Well, Kyrie tore his ACL. He's not going to be back until maybe January. So the thing I wrote down for the Mavs, looking at their roster, I'm assuming Anthony Davis will be healthy at the start of the season. So as of right now, I projected their starting lineup as Brandon Williams, Klay Thompson, PJ Washington, Anthony Davis, and Derek Lively, with Max Christie and Najee Marshall having arguments to start over Klay. And then they've got Daniel Gafford, Caleb Martin. Brandon Williams played well for them when Kyrie went down, but I don't look at him as like an NBA point guard. But maybe they do something insane. They just start everybody 6'7" taller with Klay. It's like Duke 2.0, and you're just enormous. And Cooper plays
Duke,
point.
It's also Duke 2.0 because even though Kyrie is injured, you got Kyrie, you got Mark Williams, and you got
Lively.
Derek Lively, Mark's on Charlotte.
Yes.
You've got, so you do have, wow, and
I can't believe this just happened.
Didn't see that happen.
All right.
So typical Cooper Flagg, they have him on camera. You really can't tell.
No. The guy's a media professional. All right, JD. Any
closing thoughts on this one?
Yeah. Any closing thoughts before we wrap up? I think I gotta make a TikTok or something like this. This is crazy. And then we've got the Knicks. So any closing thoughts here?
My only closing thought is, how can the Mavericks, under their current manager, GM, how can they screw this up?
It's the question we were all going to be asking until he suits up and plays his first game, because he could be traded after they draft him. So, what a strange world. The NBA, where anything happens now. And
in the mix of all this, what happens to Giannis? The drama is great. It's just going to be it's great for the NBA.
Awesome, just awesome for them. Yeah. All right, this was fun.
Good to do this with you, and go Knicks.
Yeah, it'd be awesome if they could take a 3-1 lead. I'm not betting on it, but it would be nice.
Just don't go down by 20 something again.
For the fourth straight time, yeah, it would be nice to be in a
Just be in the
competitive game.
game. Be
Yeah,
in the game.
yeah. All right.
All right.
See you later.
It's been fun. Bye.